welcome to Connections with Stacey Levine Lavely. It's great to be here. We're starting season 2, and I am so excited because this time we get to do an interview with somebody who I personally just love. He is amazing. Oh my God, he made this incredible Halloween tribute that we're going to get into in a minute. And he made it so accessible and so welcoming for Jagger. And as you guys know, I talk about Jagger a lot. You guys have met him. He's very impacted with autism, and he has a lot of trouble sensory wise and things like that. He used to have trouble in the dark and things like that. And this next guest I have made that accessible, made it possible for him to be able to access it fully. And it was just an amazing thing. And I am so proud and so honored to introduce you all to the creator of the Haunted Hillando Halloween maze. That's a tongue twister. Say that 3 times fast. So welcome, Sean McNamara, creator, founder, grunt person, does everything in this maze. He is absolutely amazing. You're going to have to check out his Facebook page, which is Haunted Hillando Halloween Maze on Facebook. I'm going to say that a couple times throughout. He is an amazing gentleman. He works, but he still has time to do this amazing Halloween maze for everybody. He also is on the board of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. So just an incredible community member. So welcome, Sean. Thank you so much for being on Connections with me today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Definitely. We're looking forward to a fun year this year. We want to make sure that everybody's able to get out and kind of do something in light of COVID and everything, to be able to do something seasonal outside. You know, we've just been stuck inside for so long doing nothing, you know, so we made everything nice and wide this year so people can, pass each other without close contact. The maze hallways this year are 5 feet, so you're not necessarily rubbing elbows with people as you pass and things like that. But I'm really looking forward to it. Last year was just a display. We did a lot of jack-o'-lanterns last year, and just skeletons and ghosts in the front yard, and that's cool. And we did collect quite a few donations for Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. I think we collected $1,500 just with the display, which is pretty great. So we're hoping to do really well with the maze this year, and also keep it nice and safe for people. Of course, the recommendation is masks on, a Halloween mask that covers your mouth for all we care. That's fine.
And there you go.
We just want to be conscientious about keeping people safe and healthy. Even though it's an outdoor event, we still want to be thoughtful about that and make sure that we're keeping people healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we did the drive-by last year, and I mean, it was fun, but it's different. I mean, to really be part of it and things like that. And just to kind of let you know out there that what it is he has a home. It's a beautiful home, and he's taken his side yard and he's just turned it into this like amazing. For some kids, it's probably a little scary. So for some kids, it's kind of like, he definitely has different areas for the different types of, personalities that children and adults can all relate to and things like that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about like, how did this even come to your mind, like to think to even do something like this, and talk about like the growth of it and how it's, you said it started very, very small into something that's just kind of like morphed into this amazing thing. And soon we're going to see him at probably.
It's definitely taken on a life of its own for sure. For sure, the origin story sort of dates back to my like early double digits, 10 and 12 years old or whatever. I had a friend, Paul Priestley, who, we did a lot of Halloween stuff. It was like out in his backwoods. We did what was called a ghost walk. I think people are like from the 80s know what a ghost walk is or whatever. Mm-hmm. But essentially it's just like Halloween decoration through a wooded trail. Okay. So we did that for friends and stuff. And that sort of early experience, like there's just a certain feeling associated with that sort of like Halloween season, I guess. Especially, and I feel bad for kids nowadays because especially in the like 80s and I guess it was about the 80s, like before all the slasher films and everything came out, before there's like blood and guts and everything in every Halloween movie, every horror movie or whatever. Halloween was just, ghosts and skeletons and witches and spiders and black cats and full moons and like that, jack-o'-lanterns. That's the sort of Halloween we try to do here. So there's no blood and guts, there's no weapons, there's no like implied violence like guillotines or hanging corpses, or there's nothing like that. Okay. About as scary as we get is just like a ghost with like a kind of like a creepy expression, like a sort of creepy hands and like creepy skull face or something like that. But nothing is startling. Okay. We don't have any like props that are going to have like a surprise scare associated with them. If the stuff that moves pretty slowly. We have really just one prop. It's a witch that we have on a pressure pad, so you can choose to activate it or not. Okay, and if you activate it, it does like have a little bit of a lunge to it. Like it'll talk and they'll be say like, "Give me that candy" or whatever. Everything else is really super like PG/G rated. You know what I mean? There's no violence or blood or anything like that at all. So we try to keep it super old school, kind of like Halloween was back in the day, before all the slasher movies turned hot, like kind of conflated horror, like the horror genre and Halloween. Like once upon a time, those were two different things. And now they kind of magically have become sort of the same thing somehow. So we try to separate those again and make Halloween and horror movies can just be their own thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's a great way to put it, is that it is a very family friendly kind of place. You can definitely take the kids and things like that, but there's also a lot of attraction for the adults too, and to keep them entertained and things like that, which I think is also important. And I mean, I know I've heard the kids go, "We need to come back again. We need to come back again." Like every year. I mean, like everybody seems to really, really enjoy it.
Most kids are super enthused about it. And most kids, because of the internet and because of like what Halloween has become, they go into Target or like whatever store and they see some like severed body parts and like cut off heads and like they see crazy stuff for Halloween. So when they come here and they see ghosts and skeletons, it's like a non-starter for them. Usually it's like that doesn't even register. However, some kids like get a little, weirded out, especially kids with sensory stuff or that are like, atypical neurology, whatever. And we're totally sensitive to that. So usually I'm out in the maze and if I notice a kid is a little upset or something like that about a specific prop, then if I hear it and I see it, I'll often go over and I'll sort of show them how the prop works. Say, look, it's got a motor. Here's where it's plugged in. Here's how this thing works. And here, this is a rubber mask and you can touch it and you can see it's plastic and stuff. And that usually very significantly diffuses that sort of fear that they have of that unknown thing. Like their prefrontal cortex is just like not on board yet, for letting them know that this, 6 foot figure that looks like a human and acts like a human is really just a toy. I often say, to especially little kids, 3 and 5 year olds or whatever, that it's just toys basically. So they seem to be able to relate to that idea that, oh, this is just like a large thing that's made out of plastic and rubber and metal or whatever. Yeah, I know what a toy is. If that's a toy, then okay, I get it. And it seems to sort of diffuse that strong emotional reaction to what they're seeing or experiencing.
Yeah, and that's awesome because I mean, a lot of people in the special needs community, that is, it can be very overwhelming. It can be very scary and things like that. And especially if they have any kind of phobias around whether it's tactile, whether it's people being close to them, which I love the fact that you've widened those, the area so that people can get around a little bit easier. And especially like if they are, say, in a wheelchair or something like that, it's going to make it more maneuverable as well, which I mean, I love the fact that you're being completely sensitive to the community overall. because it's not just about sensory. I mean, a lot of it's physical, limitations and things like that. So I'm going to put you on the spot here because, we're live and why not?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, would you be okay if we set up a sensory visit to the maze for people with special needs?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think?
I think that'd be fantastic.
Awesome. Awesome. Yay. Because I think that would be really, really fun and a really great way for a lot of our families to be able to experience a wonderful Halloween experience, as well as hopefully making it a tradition. Because like I said, you become our tradition, and I would love to pass that along and share that with other people because it's so fun and we have such a great time there. And like I said, you and your wife and your kids are just so accommodating. It's so cool as far as that goes. So does October, I don't know. Let me think. I know you guys are open Friday and Saturday from 6:30 to 8:30 in October, and everybody you want to go to the Facebook Haunted Hillando Halloween Maze page to find out all the details. Sean will be releasing all those to you. I don't want to, do that. I'm just kind of saying for our kids. So would a Sunday maybe work for you where that way they don't, it's not going to be as difficult for them?
Yep, still
it's hard.
Yep, I'm just gonna go inside where they're not cutting hedges here. Yeah, Sunday is great. Any Sunday in October is fine, but how's the 17th work? Mid month?
That is perfect. That's perfect because it's almost Halloween, so everyone's gonna be excited and all that stuff. Because Halloween's on a Sunday this year. That's so cool.
Yeah, that is.
So
it falls on a weekend's day. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, so that would be perfect because a lot of families, they do stuff on Sundays and things like that. And I think it's kind of the perfect nightcap to end the day and just really have that really fun experience at the end of the, weekend and things like that. And, you so often these kids, with special needs and even the adults with special needs, often they just can't do these kind of activities where there's lots of people running around and people are really excited in the maze because it's fun and they're running and just having a great time, and that's exactly what you want to see. But sometimes for kids with these kind of situations, whether it's a sensory issue, whether it's regulation, executive functioning, things like that, again, it can be really hard for them, or if they're mobility challenged, or if they have sight or hearing issues. Again, it's still great for them. I mean, for the ones who can partake in it, to really be able to do something amazing like this. So I want to thank you personally from the bottom of my heart, because I know I just put you on the spot, but I just think it would be such a fun experience. And as I was talking to you, I'm just thinking I would love to see other people. I mean, I have seen other kids on the spectrum there, but there's just such a wide, my new thing is all people have special needs, but their needs are special. So that's my new tagline. I learned that this weekend at a surfing event with Jagger. So I'm like, oh my God, I love that. That's so cool. Because I know a lot of people who are in the special needs community. We used to say differently abled, and a lot of them really got offended by that term. So okay, well, what can we say that's not going to be as offensive? So that's, I kind of like that. So I'll get feedback if that doesn't work for people.
Right, exactly. And as a society, we're always evolving. Definitely. I think for a lot of people, trying to integrate everyone and all of their differences, especially these old school folks, you know what I mean? It's very challenging. The same thing with pronouns and everything like that. Nowadays it's just you just need to be respectful. Just respect other people's needs and feelings, and it's really not that challenging. It's not that hard to listen to someone and ask what they want and need and accommodate that. It's relatively straightforward. It's not a large effort usually required to make somebody feel a lot more included and feeling pretty good about themselves.
Absolutely. And especially when you're first meeting someone for the first time, because it is really kind of a natural icebreaker almost, because you're already asking their name. You might be asking where they're from or what they do for a living, depending on the age or where they go to school or whatever. And just to kind of slip in that pronoun thing is, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I actually dealt with some of that over the summer in my regular job. And, it was challenging because a lot of kids are kind of coming into their own, and they're just starting to you realize what their identities are and things like that. It's really important to respect that, whether it's a special need or not. And there are a lot of, like, especially in autism, there are a lot of kids rather who, are dealing with some of those identity issues, and especially the ones who are what would be considered on the neurological scales of higher functioning. They are going to start dating, and they may get their driver's license and all that kind of stuff. So there is going to be that moment where they're going to ask if they're, male, female, non-binary, other, what have you. And it's a good conversation to have, and, to open up and things like that. So I think like something like this, I'm glad you're so open to it. It doesn't surprise me at all watching you and what you've created here. So it doesn't surprise me. And I totally agree. I'm 100% on board with what you're saying for sure. And I do want to kind of dig in a little bit, because I do know that you also, one of the things with your maze and everything is you are also helping support Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. And while we're on this conversation and, on this topic and whatnot, again, you're dealing with kids and families and teens, and not just the pronouns call, but there are just so many other pieces to what they do as well. And I would love to learn a little bit more. I mean, I know some of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services very surface level, so can you take me a little deeper on that, because I'd love to learn more.
So what got me engaged with Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services was the youth services. So having grown up with ADHD, like undiagnosed ADHD, school was very, very difficult for me. Okay, a lot of anxiety, depression, guilt about, what my grades looked like and stuff like that. Always like a smart kid, and the teachers were always like, "Wow, you have so much, potential, and yet it doesn't seem to be realized through academics." And whatever. It's just like, now in retrospect, I realize, had I only had some interventions early on, some recognition of that challenge, things could have been totally different for me. You know what I mean? So the agency, not that they focus on ADHD specifically, but they do provide those sort of interventions and the assistance that kids with anxiety, depression, trauma, and things like that really need in order to thrive, as they're getting older. So that was very compelling for me. I sort of like saw that they were offering those things that I would have needed in my early teens, especially, things like that's when ADHD challenges really seem to arise. But their community reach is quite wide. I mean, they're well engaged with town offices, with Shrewsbury Police and Fire, all sorts of things, fuel assistance. There's some outreach to like elderly services. The reach, the breadth of the impact that agency has in this community, it's almost invisible. Okay, so like, had I not been introduced to SYFS through Jen Luke here in town, I wasn't aware that they existed. Okay, until Jen brought them up to me. But now that so I'm on the board of directors at this point. I asked to join that board shortly after hearing about their mission that first year that we donated. But having now, like having a close connection with them now, I realize like the impact that they have in our community is extraordinary, but almost invisible. It's like operating totally under the radar, but in such a significant and impactful way. It's just totally indispensable. I just really have a lot of respect for what that agency does. Very happy and proud to be part of the board of directors for that agency.
Yeah, they really do act as a support and a safety net for so many people without people realizing it. And that's one of the things that's nice, is they don't call attention to the actual acts of kindness and the supports that they do provide to people. It's just kind of like, Spider-Man with his invisible webs. I mean, it's just there. It's there when anybody needs it. And they are very, very supportive and very, very helpful to so many. Now, with Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, did they only go up to age 60, and then it would kind of go on to the senior, kind of like the COA would kind of jump in that?
Coordination. So the agency, I think my understanding at least, and I don't have like a deep reach into that aspect of it. I'm mostly just inherently focused on a lot of the youth services, but There's some consulting and stuff that they do for Council on Aging and things like that, as far as placement and things like that are concerned. So I know Christine has worked with town agencies to place consultants and things like that for the Council on Aging.
Nice. That's amazing. Now it's funny how we started with a maze and here we are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, at the end of the day, families' lives are kind of a maze, and they are trying to get the services in place that they need to have in place. And especially, you know, for our particular audience, you know, it's more about special needs and things like that, who need it even more because, you know, there's entitlement, as I call it, up to age 22. And at that point, they go into adult services and there's no longer school, you know, the ability to go to school. There's no longer the ability to, you know, make those kind of connections and things like that you would naturally have within a school community or in an 18 to 22 kind of transition program. And at that point, a place like Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services becomes even more critical to the family because then they're going to have to work in conjunction with other organizations, whether it's like the DDS, what is it, the Developmental Disability Services or something like that. I don't know. I always forget these acronyms, or the Department of Mental Health. And there are just so many of them. And a lot of these families have faced some of these issues or still continue to face some of these issues. And so it's really imperative to have an organization like Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services who's able to connect with those different state agencies or local agencies or communities and things like that to kind of create an inclusionary piece for all families.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's exactly what you do. And I'm just so grateful for that. So I just kind of want to do a real quick recap now to kind of get back to the maze and the fun stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So I want everyone to go to Facebook and go to the Haunted Hillando Halloween Maze. I did it this time. Yay!
Yeah.
They have a super active community. People are talking about it all year long. I swear I'm like always seeing like, you know, different posts like, when's it coming? Blah, blah, blah. I know Derek can't wait every year. He's like,
yeah, I'm so happy. I mean, it grew very organically, but I'm really so happy that it's just so well received in the community. That Facebook group now I think has 1,100 members.
Oh my God.
So it's very active. You know,
nice.
You know, anytime I post like a making of like picture or video of something like that, there's like it's often like several hundred responses to it, which is so crazy.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's really fun. I mean, and I don't think it's rocket science. There's very little to do that looks like this time of year. There's hay rides and stuff like that. But as far as like a local community event that's very kid friendly like that and free, you know, it's donations only.
Exactly.
It's totally optional. There's no admission or anything like that. We strongly encourage donations. It's I would say it's the driving force behind all the work that's done on it, is being able to generate donations for Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would probably do all the work anyway, you know? Because it's a lot of fun. I mean, just seeing people's reaction to it, the sound of people experiencing it is just, it's very satisfying. It's a really great place to be, you know, during the holiday season, the Halloween season, whatever. It's very obvious that people enjoy it, you know, that people are having a good time. And I'm more than happy to contribute to that. It makes me really happy to be able to contribute to that sort of experience.
Yeah, for sure. And it's an amazing experience. And like you were saying, you know, I mean, if you're going to go to like Foxborough to like the haunted this or that, it's like $25, $30. You have to park, you sit in traffic forever. This way you can go somewhere local, have a great time. You guys usually have like donuts or apple cider or something like that. So there's something to do and again, something to eat.
Yeah, we had to nix that this year, but that's
because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So I usually would have my daughter Fiona run that stand, and essentially cider donuts and hot apple cider. And
apple cider.
It really is like the icing on the cake of that Halloween experience. You know what I mean? The smells and tastes of that. I know that for so many of these kids that are in their like late single digits, early double digits, like 10 and 12, 13, whatever. It's going to be something that they remember forever, you know,
Yeah.
and for me, that's just amazing to be able to contribute to something like that. I think it's so cool that that kids are going to remember this and talk about this when they're older and stuff. I think it's
Forever.
really
Yeah.
cool.
It's going to be back when I was a kid. This is what
Right,
we did
that
on, every Halloween
crazy
we
guy.
went to, that guy, it'll be that guy. Yeah. So please, everybody, come to this event. It's amazing. Fridays and Saturday evenings through October from 6:30 to 8:30. And again, Sean was kind enough to do a more sensory friendly kind of event for us on October 17th. That's going to be a Sunday evening from 6:30 to 8:30. If you have suggestions, you can feel free to on the Facebook page. We have the Foundation for Autism Acceptance Worldwide. You can feel free to leave an instant message if there's something in particular you feel might help you.
Yeah.
We also have oh God, I'm probably going to mess this up. So the autism show on the go, I believe it is, at gmail.com also as an email. If not, you can always hit me up, Stacey Levine Lavely, on Facebook for instant message. We're going to be getting up a page for the show soon, probably in the next week or so. So you can also hit me up there or let me know what we can do to make this a great experience for everybody. So I want to thank everyone so much, and especially Sean. Thank you so much for coming on, telling us all about Haunted Hillando, which we talk about all year long ourselves. So everyone, make sure you're going to that Facebook page, Haunted Hillando Maze, Haunted Hillando Halloween Maze.
You got it.
Eventually. So thank you again, really, seriously, so much for coming on. We want to make sure that, we're getting people out, getting people to donate to Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, because it's such a critical aspect of our community. And it's helped so many families, people you may not even realize right next door to you. So it goes right into our own backyard. It's not going to some big CEO or anything like that. It's really going to help your own neighbors, people friends, kids in school, whoever. So again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's keep unity in the community. Have a great day. Bye.